all his deaths, or as he's known in the English dub only, Master Roshi. So Master Roshi is the first major martial arts trainer that Goku and Krillin both have early in Dragon Ball. He's really more of a major character in the earlier part of the series. By far the strongest fighter that Goku meets for a very long time. Whereas after the Demon King Piccolo, or the Piccolo Daimyo arc, and certainly by the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai arc, Roshi is pretty much outclassed. And then, with the exception of maybe the second DBZ movie, in Japan it's referred to as the world's strongest man, whereas in the West it's just referred to as the world's strongest and the Tournament of Power. Roshi is pretty much only a support character. He's basically rendered in much of the same way that Yamcha and Ten Shinhan are later in the series. So a lot of people don't really seem to understand the importance of Master Roshi, particularly in the early part of the series. He is practically the backbone of all of the major training and techniques that Goku develops as a kid. The Kamehameha was originally his technique. So anyways, Roshi is very old, even in the early part of Dragon Ball. He's really old. He's about 400 years old when Dragon Ball begins. But he is not the oldest character, but he's one of the most oldest and well-mastered and well-trained martial artists of his time. For most of his life, Roshi was one of the strongest men on Earth, on the entire face of the Earth. He is probably the strongest at the beginning of Dragon Ball, and he remains the strongest until Demon King Piccolo appears later in the original series. But he has a tremendous influence on Goku's development. Not just as a martial artist, but just Goku's outlook on life is taken from Roshi. So the first time that Master Roshi dies is in the Piccolo Daimyo, or the Demon King Piccolo arc. And what happens is he misuses a technique that his former trainer or Master Mutaido, used, the Mafuba, which was used to seal Demon King Piccolo into a rice cooker for several hundred years before he was freed by Pilaf. And so Roshi attempts to seal Demon King Piccolo away before he could use the Dragon Balls to restore his youth, because Piccolo had aged considerably. But the Mafuba technique backfires, and Demon King Piccolo is not sealed away, and Roshi dies. He dies due to just being out of energy, using up all of his raw power and energy in that technique, and he's pretty much taken out. And this is the old Demon King Piccolo, mind you. This is before Piccolo's youth is restored. So Roshi dies the first time, and then the next day, God revitalizes the Dragon Balls and recreates Shenron, and then the wish is used to bring Roshi back to life. So after Roshi is brought back, he can never be brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls. Now, the next time that Roshi dies is in the Majin Buu arc. Super Majin Buu finds Dende's lookout, and right in the middle of the fight between Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and Super Majin Buu uses a powerful scream that opens the dimensions, and he escapes. And during the time that he escapes between the dimensions and the time that Gotenks escapes, Super Majin Buu turns Roshi into chocolate and eats him. So that's the second time that Roshi dies. Now, the Earth Dragon Balls cannot bring Roshi back to life in the Majin Buu arc because he's already been dead. But the second wish of the Namekian Dragon Balls does manage to bring Roshi back. And that's the first time that Roshi is brought back to life in the series. Now, in the timeline that Goku Black originates from, it is very likely that Roshi was killed by Goku Black. Zamasu used the Super Dragon Balls to switch bodies with Goku and became Goku Black, and he probably used a lot of different techniques. Maybe he even used the Kamehameha, but basically he wiped out all life on the Earth that Goku Black came from in that timeline, and Roshi was killed. It's also very likely that future Master Roshi, who actually survived the rampage of the artificial humans, he was probably either killed by future Zamasu or by Goku Black during one of the rampages that Goku Black had on future Trunks' Earth. Or he was killed by infinite, merged Zamasu. Because by the end of the Goku Black saga,